Alright y'all, today I'm revealing my winning Facebook ad strategy that has allowed my dropshipping stores to do over 6 figures in sales in a single month. What's going on, guys? I'm Braden Wirtz. If this is your first time to my channel, make sure you hit subscribe. I continue to over-deliver insane value to you guys every day to grow you personally and financially as well. Alright guys, today is a massive video for you guys. This is jam-packed full of insane value. I'm actually going to be revealing my Facebook ad strategy that has allowed my stores to do over 6 figures in a single month, and has allowed one of my stores to do over $500,000 in 7 months. This is definitely a very powerful strategy. Now, 3 things before we start. 1, this is just the framework of the strategy. I could talk for hours on this subject. So this is definitely just the framework, but it's a very powerful framework that will at least get you guys started in the right direction. 2, this is very specific to e-commerce and especially specific to AliExpress dropshipping. This is completely different than what my digital marketing agency does, and you should definitely take that into consideration if you're in any other sector other than AliExpress dropshipping. 3, this is not going to cover seasoning your pixel. If you'd like me to go ahead and cover a whole video in depth of seasoning your pixel, go ahead and leave a comment right now and let me know that you guys would like that video. If you guys want that video, I'll definitely make a detailed video for you guys on how to properly season your pixel. Alright guys, so today we're going to go ahead and cover the exact framework on how to have a very successful, efficient, and effective ad strategy. But in order to do that, we need to go ahead and switch onto the computer. Alright guys, so here we are in the Ads Manager. So if you guys have watched my other videos, you know that I like to start with the PPE ad. And I actually do PPE ads, engagement ads, for different reasons than what you might have heard of before. So typically you'll hear in the dropshipping world to do it because it gives your pixel a lot of intelligence and it can tip you off if you have a winning product. That's not why I use it. I use it to go ahead and, 1, give the pixel an initial set of data. Since I like to run my ads both on Facebook and Instagram at the same time, it gives it an initial bit of data to let it know whether to run the ad more on Facebook or more towards Instagram. So that could be, it needs to run 80% on Instagram and 20% on Facebook. It gives it just a little bit of initial intelligence for that. The big reason and the main reason I use it for is for social proof. This is so I can come running out of the gate with the product and I've got a good amount of social proof already on the post. So that's why I really like engagement ads, and I think they're very necessary. So before we start, let me go ahead and talk about, I've done videos already in the past on how to go ahead and make a good product description, how to do a good ad post. So I'm not going to be covering that today. And like I said before, I'm not covering everything in detail. If you guys want that, you need to go ahead and leave a comment. Let me know exactly what topics in the Facebook ad strategy you guys would like me to cover in detail, because like I said, this could be in like a 10-hour long presentation for you guys. So definitely leave in the comments what you guys are struggling with in particular, and I'll go ahead and try to do a video on it. So let's go ahead and choose post engagement. We'll just say engagement test. Alright, so right off the bat, what we're going to do differently than what you probably have heard of before. I know you guys have heard to go ahead and test the Big 5. If you've been watching my videos, you know that I don't go ahead and I start testing in the Big 5. And there's a few different reasons for this, but essentially it comes down to your cost per click in other countries is going to be much lower, and you're still going to be testing first world countries, so it's good quality data. So typically I might do United States as an engagement, but I'll also do United Kingdom. Might do Spain, France, Netherlands, Germany, Australia, and Canada. Essentially what I'm doing is I'm building out a list of, these are essentially the locations that I would probably start testing in with the conversions ad. And I like to keep the engagement ad very similar to what I would do for the conversions ad. It just keeps the data similar. Your pixel's going to already have that initial intelligence. Now it's not going to be very much, but this is definitely a strategy to take. If you don't want to do this, then I do suggest you loading your engagements ad up with the Big 5. So do United States, UK, Canada, New Zealand, and Australia. So you can either do the big 5 or you can do the countries that you are going to test with your conversions ad. So if you want to test in Europe or the countries that I like to test in, definitely do that. So that's not a very big deal. Where it gets into quite a bit different than what everybody else does is my targeting. So I hear all the time to have very specific a low audience targeting or low possible reach targeting. So people go and they'll get super specific and have an audience size of maybe 40,000. Guys, that's just not enough. You need to go ahead and make it general. So typically how I do it is the more complex, high-tech, or specific the product, the more specific my targeting is going to be. But since a lot of AliExpress products have a very broad demand and a global demand, you need to go very broad with your targeting. Essentially, base your audience selection, whether it be specific or broad, base that off of if the product is specific or broad, and base it off your region as well. So if you're testing in the United States, you don't want a very, very low potential reach. It's a big country. You want to be able to have a large potential reach. If you have a small potential reach and you find out that this is a winning product, what are you going to do then? You've got a very, very small audience that you're actually targeting. So you want to go ahead and make this broad for most products on AliExpress. Like I said, the more specific the product, the more specific you need to go. But we'll go and use sunglasses, for example. I like to use that as an example. So I've preached on this before, but I do not ever use behaviors, especially engaged shoppers, income levels, active credit card users. Those are terrible, especially in e-commerce, but those will completely destroy your budget. You don't want those. What you do want, and what's very, very powerful, is competitors. So what I would do for sunglasses, I type in Oakley's, I would type in Ray-Bans, I would type in Costas. Another thing you'd want to do is go in and type in competitors that actually sell the product. So you could do Sunglass Hut. Essentially what you're wanting to do is you're wanting to load it up full of competitors. These are people that actually like the competitors. So this is how it gets very, very powerful targeting. And you can see I've got a very, very large possible reach. But I'm not so worried about it being very large. I want a large audience. I want to be able to test with a large audience, but I want the audience to still be relevant. So now what you're going to do is you might want to add in a few regular interests like sunglasses. You could do aviator sunglasses, career sunglasses, Wayfarer sunglasses. So you'll want to add in other interests as well. This is what I like to do. A lot of other people like to do flex targeting where you'll put in only one interest and then you'll narrow it down from there and do exclusions. For e-commerce and AliExpress, I typically don't like to do that. I believe that the pixel is a lot more intelligent and knows what it's doing than a lot of people on YouTube are giving it credit for. If you go in and you really, really study how Facebook ads work and how the pixel works and everything, you'll get a sense of what you're supposed to do with the targeting and whether you're supposed to do specific targeting, broad targeting. Broad targeting is not bad, contrary to popular belief. This is what I like to do, and this is what works. But if you want to test it with flex targeting, what I would suggest is A/B test it. So what you would do is you make this ad set right here. Now you'll want to do this with the conversions ad, not engagements ad. But when you're doing conversions ad, you'll A/B test, this interest set, this targeting set, and then you'll do a second one with a flex targeting, and you'll essentially see which one performs better in that targeted country. Always make sure that this box is unchecked. You don't want that checked. Next comes the budget. So for an engagements ad, $5 for one day. Don't do more and don't do less. That'll give you enough social proof and it should give it enough initial intelligence to know whether to push it more towards Facebook, more towards Instagram. But you don't need to do more than that. So you'll do $5 for one day. And another thing, back to edit placements, I typically keep automatic placements on the PPE ad. And like I said, I like it to run on Instagram as well. The only ones I would take off in the beginning is maybe Messenger, but the thing is, I still have a lot of sales come out of Messenger. If you guys are listening to me, you're getting the picture that, Facebook knows what it's doing. And so most of the suggestions in the ads manager are for good reasons. Facebook, contrary to popular belief, people think that Facebook's just trying to steal your money. They make money if we make more money, because then we're going to be spending more and all of that. So the way they've got everything set up is very intelligent. So for the most part, a lot of times you'll want to keep it how they have it suggested. Now, I've A/B tested everything in here, and what works for me is leaving pretty much everything on. I make a lot of sales in the Audience Network. I make a lot of sales in Messenger. And so, typically how I come at it is a lot of the same stuff I'll leave. And so that'll get to my next point in a little bit. But right now, keep the $5 budget. What you'll do, you'll click continue. You'll go ahead and enter your post ID that you already made on your Facebook page. And like I said, I covered that in a whole other video on how to make the actual ad post. So you'll go ahead and do your engagement ad. You'll do that for one day. On day 2, you're going to start your conversions ad, and you're going to use the same post because now that post has all that social proof. It's got the engagements on it. So this is where it gets really cool because now you've already got that coming out of the gate with a good amount of data and a good amount of engagement for just $5. So what you're going to do is now you're going to test what I suggest 2 to 3 ad sets with 2 to 3 similar countries each. So the reason you want to do this is you want the demographic of the countries to be very similar. So if you're doing US, you could do US and Canada as one ad set. If you're doing UK, you could do UK, Spain, and France, since they're very close and kind of similar in demographic. If you do Netherlands, you could do Netherlands, Belgium, Denmark. But my point is, for one product, you want to test at least 2 ad sets with 2 to 3 similar countries. This is going to give it enough of a test. And the other big change, because you'll want to keep the detailed targeting the same that you do in engagement, the next change is going to be the budget. $5 is not enough to actually run a conversions ad on day 1. You need to go ahead and give it enough money. That way it has enough of a budget spread throughout the day to efficiently run the ad. $5 just isn't enough, especially when you're testing big regions like a whole country rather than just, a city. So you need to go ahead and do at least $10. You can do more than that, but I typically would start at $10. I just do a lot of ad sets at $10. And what I do is I run it for 2 days. The reason you want to, rather than doing $20 for one day, I like to do $10 for 2 days because many times the Facebook ad system it could be inefficient one day and very efficient the next. Some days, Monday could be better performing than a Tuesday or vice versa. So you just want to have 2 separate days that you actually get data rather than, spending the same amount for just one day. So the point I was going to talk about earlier is once you have this running and you are now making sales on the product, what you'll want to do with the targeting, and this is very different than what everybody else preaches, but this is where I attribute a bulk of my success to this one thing. Your pixel's going to gain an insane amount of intelligence. Every add to cart, every initiate checkout, every purchase, your pixel's gaining intelligence. So what you'll want to do is after you start getting sales, and I usually suggest after about 2 weeks of consistently running a product and it being consistently selling, you'll want to go ahead and start a second ad set. Keep these original ad sets the same. Start a second ad set in your most profitable country. So let's say you're selling the best in the United States. Keep that United States ad running, but start a new ad set that everything looks exactly the same except wipe out the targeting. Have no targeting. This needs to be completely empty and look like this. The reason this is because your pixel is going to gain so much intelligence for that post and that product that if you actually have targeting, it's like keeping it in a cage. You want to go ahead and have your pixel do its job. You want it to do its thing, and it will get to that point. So essentially after, say 2 weeks of being profitable, you'll go ahead and test this. And if it's still better performing on the targeted one, then what you'll do is you'll keep it running and you'll still be scaling at the same time, but you'll keep it running for the next week. The next week, try it again, A/B test with no targeting. As soon as the no targeting ad set performs better, you guys have won. This is where you guys can now scale insanely fast because now you can spread it to every country and essentially wipe out the targeting. I'm not kidding, guys. This is very, very powerful. So this is my biggest kind of secret sauce right here is wiping out the targeting when I've got enough pixel intelligence. And then what I do is very quickly I'll scale horizontally to all the different countries, and then I'll scale vertically with raising the budget. All right, guys, so that's the initial framework of how my ad strategy works. Like I said, it goes way more in depth. There's so many different things I could cover in this. I could go on for 10 hours or more talking about this, but this is the initial framework to get you guys started. So in recap, what you'll want to do is you'll want to create a $5 PPE or engagement ad for one day. This mainly gives it social proof. Then what you'll do is you'll create a $10 per day conversions ad. You'll do 2 to 3 ad sets with 2 to 3 similar countries each. And how you can do this and use the same post to have all those engagements from the engagement ad is you'll enter the post ID, or you can use an existing post and just select it from there. But you'll go ahead and run it for 2 to 3 days, find out if it's profitable. And I've talked about profitability in other videos, but I can go way more in depth with that as well. So make sure to leave me in the comments, guys, whatever you want me to cover. If you want me to cover, something with profitability, if you want me to cover something having to do more in depth with the targeting, if you want me to cover, lookalike audiences, retargeting, then manual bidding. There's so much that goes into this topic, guys. Make sure to leave in the comments what you guys want me to cover, and I'll make sure to cover it. Like I said, this is a very in-depth topic and a very involved topic. This is the initial framework to get you guys started, and it can be very powerful for you guys. That way you can go ahead and get the ball rolling, get the data for your lookalike audiences, your retargeting, all of that. Make sure to leave me a like, hit subscribe if you haven't already. I continue to over-deliver insane value to you guys every day to grow you personally and financially as well. I really want you guys to be successful with this, guys, and I know you can. Just keep pushing forward, keep grinding, and I'll see you in the next video.